All right, y'all. So today I made a big boy decision. Today was probably, I don't even know how to explain it. So many emotions going through my mind right now. Um, Speaking to future me right now, I know things are going to be good, but, closing a chapter and starting a new one is always hard. But I'm so blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm so thankful. Thank you guys for being here. Yeah, I guess let's just get right into it. So today I decided to walk away from my six-figure corporate job to pursue content. And I just, I don't know what to think. I'm relieved. I'm excited. I'm nervous. I'm anxious. Every, big word feeling that you can think about is how I'm feeling right now. For those who know me, you probably know me from X and A. My wife and I, we do couples related content on TikTok, on Instagram, etc. So if you want to see that type of content, make sure you go ahead and follow those pages. I'll link them in the description below. But let's go back in time. So the year is 2020. We all know that infamous year of chaos and just, I don't even know what to think about 2020. It seems like it was just yesterday, but it's been 5 years. Um, I was working a corporate job. I had been there for about 2 years, and I thought that my path forward was to climb the corporate ladder and try my best to invest some money, and do the traditional route, the American dream. You get you a good job that pays pretty well and you work your way up, and eventually you'll be able to benefit from all the hard work that you put in. And growing up, I always just loved the idea of being a content creator. I've always been heavy into cameras. I've done music videos or shot music videos. I'm not musically gifted from like a, rapping perspective or like singing or nothing like that. I play the guitar. I know you guys can see the guitars back there, but I always enjoyed the idea of creating content and being a content creator. So when I met my wife, it was kind of this interesting dynamic of she was already kind of known for being a social media influencer. She had like 20K on back then it was called Twitter, on X. And to me back then that was a lot. I'm like, man, she has 20,000. I didn't even think that she would respond to my DM when I hit her up. But it was just interesting because she was going that route. And it wasn't really because she was pushing for that. It was just the type of content she was making was viral. She was making crochet clothing, and she has a nice physique. So whenever she would post pictures, they will go viral and people follow her for that. Long story short, she ended up creating a YouTube page dedicated to crochet clothing. And that page ended up growing quite a bit, especially early in our relationship. She ended up getting like 70,000 subscribers with that page. Long story short, my wife really, really wanted me to do TikTok dances with her for a long time. And I would always tell her, I'm like, I don't think that that's kind of my speed. I'm more of I like tech, I'm a nerd. I like video games. I like anime. I like everything that, that isn't really, that. So for months and months, I would always tell her like, no, I'm not down to do no TikTok dance. Go do it with your girlfriends, and you enjoy that with them. We ended up creating a YouTube channel called, back then it was called something else, but for the sake of this video, called X and A. That page right now has like 200,000 subscribers. Shout out to everybody from X and A who's probably watching this video. And we ended up going down the route of pranking each other. And at first I wasn't really interested in it simply because I feel like my persona was a very like kind of businessman, serious type of guy, even though that wasn't who I was at heart. It was kind of the person that I was, aspiring to be based on the career paths, the decisions that I had made up until that point. But one thing led to the next, and we ended up doing, pranks and stuff like that, and vlogs and whatnot. And I really started to enjoy it, and almost to the point where I could see myself doing it, long term. So when COVID happened, of course, it was a crazy situation for everybody. I was at that point working from home, and we had more time to dedicate to enjoying ourselves together. And for that meant creating content. And the whole TikTok situation kept coming up. I still hadn't committed to TikTok. And there was one day where some reason I was just like, you know what? I believe in my girlfriend. Back then she was my girlfriend, now my wife. I believe in my girlfriend enough that if I dedicate just 10% effort into what she's trying to accomplish and what that vision is, and I support her in that, if I just give a little bit, maybe some good will come from it. And the reason why I was thinking about it in this regard is because she was not like me. She was not the type of person to thrive in a corporate environment because she was just far too creative. It was very constraining of her. It was exhausting of her, and eventually became exhausting for me because I feel like I started to grow more as I did content and as I enjoyed myself. And we look back at all the things that we've done. It just, you don't ever want to be put in a box. So one day I decided, you know what? I'll make a deal with you. I'll do your little TikTok dances, but you get one take, and that is it. So what that meant was whatever dance she was trying to teach me, if I didn't get it right on the first go, then it is what it is. You have to go ahead and post that and whatever. That ended up blowing up because I would do dumb stuff in the video because I knew I couldn't learn to dance, and I didn't really have an interest in like learning to dance. But that's why traction, started to happen, is because people were like, why is he doing that dumb thing in the background? What's going on? So literally a week or two into our TikTok career, we had amassed like 20,000 followers. And at that point I was like, what? Like, what is going on? We've been doing YouTube for like 2 months and we barely have, 1,000 subscribers. How are we gaining so fast on this platform? And I had to look within myself, and I was like, man, maybe we have something here. Maybe our natural kind of personalities are attractive to certain people, and maybe we should just see where that goes. And that's literally what we did. We went from 20,000 to today, almost 1.4 million followers in a matter of 5 years. And to a lot of people, that may seem like slow growth, but it wasn't like we were full time doing anything. We would take time throughout the day to, do these dance videos, or she'll figure out a way to, make a video that'll get a reaction out of me, vice versa. And then it became this thing of, this is how we bond. This is how we can look back and just reminisce on the times that we had together and, all the good moments. So I fast forward to today. So today I decided to leave my corporate job. And the reason why I'm deciding to leave is because I know that there's so much more that I have not given to this world that needs to be explored. And I remember every single day waking up, driving into the office, having all of this creative fluid just all in my body. Some reason in the morning I'm the most creative. So by the time I would get to work and actually start doing stuff that I really wasn't super excited to do, then driving all the way back home, I was exhausted. Like, I didn't feel like I had the energy to execute on all the creative ideas that I had while I was driving to work. I would be just so excited. I'll be like, man, we can do this, we can do that. I could start, X, Y, and Z. And as soon as like 10:30 a.m. hit and I'm sitting there at my desk, not doing anything at all because my work literally took an hour and a half to do most days, I was like, wow, I'm just literally wasting my life. Like, I'm just wasting time sitting here. And I made so many good friends at the company I was at, so many good people. But the truth is, the corporate environment is very cutthroat, and people oftentimes act out of fear. Like, they say, okay, we need to be team oriented and stuff like that. But the truth is, when it's you versus someone else, sometimes you'll do things that you don't necessarily agree with your own morals because you want to protect you and your family. And I've never been that way. I've never thrown anybody under the bus for anything at all. I can honestly say that. And I think that the corporate environment, it just enables people to be evil towards one another, especially when the leadership isn't trying to prevent that. And although I had a very good experience where I was at, I experienced some of this throughout my time in corporate America. And it's not something that's, specific to me. It happens to everybody, and I'm not blaming anybody. I did a great job where I was at. I got a recognition, multiple years. I couldn't complain. My job wasn't difficult for me. A lot of people don't know, but I would consider myself pretty smart. Like I mean, not to be like arrogant or anything, but I do a lot of research. I'm just naturally curious. And I'm a nerd. It's just how I am. So, the fact that I survived as long as I did is kind of a surprise to me, simply because once we returned back into the office after COVID kind of died down, and I would say that was around like 2023, we had already had so much traction online that it was inevitable. And the only reason why I was still there is because I was scared. I was simply scared of, what if I failed? What if I didn't become this person that I thought that I could be? And I would procrastinate leaving. And because of that, I would care less about the work that I'm doing. And I would become less passionate while I'm at work. And although my work ethic, I believe, is higher than most people's, I know internally when I'm not giving my best effort. And it bothered me. It bothered me that I wasn't trying to be the best possible version of me. And I believe that it was because I outgrew that environment. And I knew that that environment was not conducive to me wanting to progress further. And that's when I learned to myself that life isn't about money. It's not about, what car you're driving, the house that you live in. At least for me, it's about the feeling of progression, that I'm going somewhere that I deem is important, that I feel supported by my family on that journey, that I am able to properly support them. Hey, now I can go to my nephew and my niece's, sporting events. I can do things throughout the week. There's so much flexibility that comes with it. And don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of hard work to be done. And I'm, super, super grateful to be in this position. But I think that for me, progression was what I wanted for my life. And, money couldn't make that, change for me. I'm blessed that social media has allowed me to make the money that I have. And, I live a comfortable life. I'm not balling by any means, but to some people, they would consider what I'm doing, an amazing blessing, as I do as well. So that was the decision. I decided, you know what? I'm not going to continue down this path of every day I'm going into the office, wasting my creative spirit. Because at the end of the day, I think that motivation it has to be a point where you are able to execute when you're motivated at that time. If you can't do that, then that motivation is not going to be there forever. Like, every emotion that you have is temporary. Some last longer than others, but at the end of the day, if I'm happy right now, I may not be happy 5 minutes later. Anything can happen. I can get a phone call and, Lord forbid, whatever. Now I'm sad or whatever. So all those mornings where I was just super, super motivated and could not do anything about it, it was just depressing. It was heartbreaking. So, fast forward to today, I made the decision, and all these emotions are going on through my mind. Called my mom, called my dad, and I got their support. And to be honest, that was the best feeling ever, because my parents are very, they're old school parents. And my mom, she still works. My dad is retired. but they didn't have anything growing up. They grew up very poor, but they didn't know that they were poor. I mean, it was just life. They had siblings, and you know, they provided this life for me because they worked so hard. So for them to believe in me and say, you know what, Xavier, go ahead and do what you believe is going to work out, because we've seen your work throughout the past so many years. And we know that when you fully dedicate yourself to something, you can do special things. And, that was all I needed to hear. So I'm making this video for, honestly, I don't know who I'm making this video for. Hopefully it inspires somebody. Hopefully you all are thankful for what you have, and you realize that at the end of the day, the things that are most important to you are the closest things to you. And every day I'd leave and go to work, I'd leave those important things behind. And once I realized that I can have beautiful relationships with my family, beautiful relationships with my wife, she was stressed out, going through postpartum, not once, but twice. And I wasn't there for her in the capacity that I wish I could have been. And the truth is, that feeling is a normalized feeling in our society, where men leave, women leave, they go to work. Nowadays, men and women are both working. I'm blessed that my wife didn't have to work, because the social media stuff was able to allow her to be a stay-at-home mom, and, to take care of the children while I would go out and into the corporate world of depression. Also don't want to come across as saying that 9-to-5s are bad. I think that I got a lot out of, corporate America. I think that depending on you have to decide which route you want to take. And for me, corporate America was the route for a very long time. And looking back, I don't regret anything about it. I think that everything happens for a reason. I'm much happier right now than I was yesterday, for sure. I feel relieved. I feel like I'm anxious. Like I said, I want to get to work. I want to create, amazing things. When I die, I want people to remember me and be like, man, he made me feel some type of way. You know what I mean? And that's really what it's about for me. I don't want to, I don't want to cause anybody any, hurt or harm or anything like that. You guys know me. I do my best to do right by everyone, and I just want to see people enjoy themselves. And now that I'm in a situation, I'm glad to bring you guys along. So if you are interested in the content that I will be making, definitely subscribe to this channel, because on this page, I want to focus on things that I care a lot about, things that interest me. I'm not really interested in making money on this YouTube page, truly. I've been doing social media for a while now, and to be honest, I just want this to be my journal. I want this to be a community where we can talk about things, talk about games that touched us in a way that maybe we hadn't been, touched by in a long time. There's this game called Clear Obscure Expedition 33 that I played, and it really spoke to me. And I think I want to do a content piece on it, because I experienced a lot of heartache, a lot of traumatizing moments as a kid growing up, and dealing with grief has always been something that I struggled with. And I think it'll be an awesome thing to look through and provide to you guys. Also, things aren't going to be just super serious all the time. I know this video is kind of long, and but I think that there's just so much to explore. I don't want to get I don't want to get paralyzed by everything that we can do. I just want to start doing stuff on here and bring you guys along for the journey. So this is to new beginnings, Thank you guys so much for listening to me. Hopefully this inspired you. And before I end this video, I know I didn't talk too much about, financials. I will assure you guys, we're fine. We'll be okay as long as we continue to grind and work hard. It's only upward from here, and I'm truly blessed. I'm thankful. Thank you guys so much, truly from the bottom of my heart, and expect more of me in the future. Love you guys.